Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief. Congressman Crow, thank you for your service. This war in Afghanistan began in, I think, August of 2001.
October
of 2001. It ended with the withdrawal of August of 2021. Who ordered the evacuation?
Are you talking about the go to zero order? Are you talking about the Doha agreement? Or are you talking about
the withdrawal of the troops, the closing of the bases? What administration ordered that? Was it Donald Trump's or was it Joe Biden's?
Donald Trump is the president who entered into the Doha agreement in February of 2020. That agreement bound the United States to the Taliban to go to zero. So no U.S. service members, no contractors, all U.S. personnel out of the country within 14 months of the signing of that agreement.
Agreements can be modified by the current administration. Donald Trump tell me what date that he said he would follow the same, I guess, evacuation procedures that Biden did.
So
he said he wouldn't have. He would never have done it like this. He would have gotten the Americans out first.
In fact, indeed, in January of 2021, when President Biden came into office, during the transition, the Biden administration received zero information from the Trump administration on compliance with the agreement by the Taliban, where the interagency was on the review of the impact of a potential withdrawal. So all of that had to be reviewed. So the president ordered an interagency review starting in January in 2021. At the culmination of that interagency review, in April of 2021, President Biden decided to continue the withdrawal that was started by Donald Trump and substantially accomplished by Donald Trump. So when he came into office, it was the lowest number of troops since 2001 in Afghanistan because Donald Trump had started that withdrawal already.
But Donald Trump never made the statement he would do the withdrawal like Joe Biden did. He never has said that.
Yeah, that is true because Donald Trump actually said he would do it faster and would have accomplished it in 2020. In fact, in 2020, fall of 2020,
he would have done hold on, Congressman. He would have done it. He would have withdrawn every American there, and the troops would be the last one defending it. And it's really not. I mean, you bring him into this. It makes no difference. The 20-some years that we've been in this war, there was one evacuation. Americans died. They were left there. Who made the call to leave $7 billion worth of?
That's false, actually. That number, and I will get to that. Okay, I'll explain why that's false.
But first of all, was there? Let me ask you this: was there any supplies left? You can dispute the number, but was there any supplies left, and was there $54 million in currency left?
I would be happy to address that, but I'm going to first address your question about the withdrawal. In fact, it was Donald Trump who said unequivocally that he wanted to bring all the troops home by Christmas 2020.
He did not say.
And then his command. Let me finish, sir. And then his commander said, "No, that's not going to work. That would be a disaster." Right. So then they extended it, and then the Biden administration came in. And Joe Biden extended it even further because under the Doha agreement, under the agreement that Donald Trump negotiated, all troops were going to have to be out by spring of 2020. But the military commander said that was not plausible and not good to do because we all know that in military terms, retrograde operations, that's the military term for a withdrawal, are the riskiest, most complicated, and difficult things to do. So he listened to his commanders. They renegotiated with the Taliban to withdraw by August 2021, which is what they did.
He telegraphed what he was going to do, and he left American troops who died. That's the bottom line.
That is not true.
And he left, okay, well then I guess the resolution that Chairman McCaul's doing is for people who lived. I mean, for you to make that kind of statement really is amazing.
They negotiated
I'm reclaiming my time.
And extended.
I'm reclaiming my time. Mm-hmm. This administration was the administration that made the call to leave Americans there. This administration was the one that made the call to leave whatever amount of artillery, guns, SUVs in Afghanistan.
Sir, do you know where that $7 billion number comes from?
Okay. I'm going to finish I'm not going to tie this committee up. You can debate, it's been reported. I mean, you can have a different opinion. You can't have different facts.
I can tell you that number.
And so the
Gentleman
fact is,
from South Carolina controls the time.
the fact is that this administration bears responsibility for the deaths. Just like it's interesting, you said the Taliban, you made some comment about them being at war with America. They would have gone to war with America. Where the 15 million that are coming across here illegally, are they vetted to make sure there's no Taliban or terrorists? No. So this administration has blood on its hands. And this administration, with its policies, bears responsibility. And this resolution is the least we can do. Now, you can try to go back through the years where rights and wrongs were done, but there was one beginning and one withdrawal. And it does a disservice to these dead Americans, and has been reported, the material that is left there. We're a weaker nation, and we're at war now because of the actions of this administration. Do you know Congressman Corey Mills?
I do know Mr. Mills. And would you like me to answer some of the questions?
Let me just ask you. You know,
in fact, I served with Mr. Mills in Iraq.
Do you realize who did he tell a number of people when he rescued the stranded Afghanistans as best he could, and then other countries? Who did he say was his biggest threat from this administration when he was flying over there?
Well, I'm going to take this as a rhetorical question. So if you want to tell me, that's fine. You can tell me.
No, what's your opinion?
If you'd actually allow me to answer the numerous misrepresentations, I'd be happy to do so.
Look, I'm not going to let you filibuster here because we've got other
Well, I'm not
things
trying
to
to
go over.
filibuster.
All I'm saying is, ask him, Corey Mills, who went on the missions himself. The biggest threat, one of the biggest threats he faced was from this Biden administration shooting his plane down. He will tell you that today. And that is unbelievable coming from a patriot like Corey Mills is. But this administration has been a boondoggle, not just in this. American lives are endangered, just like the invasion at the border, that all kind of rhetoric is trying to say that Trump calls that. He did not. It's just not true. Donald Trump is not true that he said he would do the exact evacuation that Joe Biden did. He said he'd get the Americans out first, and they would be protected. So it's amazing we're having to even debate this resolution.
Would you like me to address any of the questions or any of the issues you raised?
You know, it's just rhetoric. Not really, because...
Okay, well, I'd be happy to correct the record and explain to you the misrepresentations in this that you're going to vote for.
I'm not, it's no consequence. Ms. McCaul, would you like to address some of these? I mean, you're the ones that's...
Yeah, I'd like to maybe clean up the record if I can. First of all, the Doha Agreement. How many agreements did the Biden administration tear up? How many?
There is no...
JCPOA, remain in Mexico, yet this was ever binding upon them. But the fact of the matter is, to your point, the way the Doha Agreement worked was that the Taliban had to be in compliance with the conditions to the agreement. The conditions were being violated. That is, they didn't cut their ties with al-Qaeda. That's obvious because Zawahiri, the number 2 guy, was in the arms of the Taliban when he was taken out by a drone strike. You know, number 2, they couldn't hit our troops in Afghanistan. They were violating that. They were violating just about every condition, which is precisely why Donald Trump kept the troops there. So he can say it's all Trump's fault, but the record speaks and the facts speak louder than his rhetoric. Because when Trump left office, there were 2,500 troops there and 6,500 NATO, all of which, according to the testimony of General Milley, McKenzie, and Miller, the top 3 generals, was sufficient with air cover and contractors to provide stability to Afghanistan. In other words, it would not have collapsed the way it did. And that was a record that we found from all the top generals, all the top intelligence community, that number was sufficient. My colleague, who I respect, says that, General Miller told them, that keeping troops meant sending more troops. That's false. General Miller said 500. And so the fact is, Trump left it stable. Biden came in, and this is really important, according to his team, say the Doha Agreement is immaterial to my decision here to go to zero. What does go to zero mean? Go to zero means zero troops, it means zero air cover, and it means zero contractors. Now, I have a lot of respect for Jason. He co-chaired our investigation. He knows better than anybody. If you go to zero, the Afghan military didn't have a chance in hell. They didn't have a prayer. And this thing was going to fall, and it was going to fall fast. And the sad thing is the State Department never came forward with a plan of evacuation as required by federal law until the Taliban invaded and took over Kabul. By that time, it's too late. Our embassy is in chaos. The airport's in chaos. Americans are left behind. American citizens had to go through the Taliban checkpoints to get to the airport. How many Americans do you think were turned back by the Taliban? This chaos, this environment of disaster and destruction and death was created by this failure on the part of the people named in my resolution.
And it was done by this administration. This is the same administration when the balloon, the Chinese balloon that flew over this country and flew over South Carolina. I was there when the generals at this administration said, actually quoted, the Chinese hierarchy did not know about it. They literally said that, which, again, is bizarre. And Donald Trump is on record, and Congressman Crow, you can put in I would like for you to give me the date and time that Donald Trump agreed to the withdrawal as Biden directed, because I don't think it's there.
Can I?
Very quickly. I'm not going to filibuster. You can dispute
I'm not looking to
everything.
filibuster. My name has been invoked several times, and I feel compelled. In fact, I think this committee has an obligation to allow me to respond to the things that have been said.
Up to a point. Mm-hmm. Just
Can I have some time to respond?
No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
They say this was a success. Really?
Yeah.
Really. And what's the fallout here? Americans left behind. Thousands of ISIS-K are released from Bagram, some of whom have found their way into this country. That's the fallout. What else? Putin invades Ukraine. Chairman Xi threatens the Pacific. The Ayatollah raises his ugly head. Projection of weakness invites aggression, conflict, and war. This was the beginning of a failed foreign policy.
Weakness and appeasement. Thank you all for testifying. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Chair thanks the gentleman. The gentlelady from New